Fanatic Brackets Season 4, Episode 8. I am Nick, your host. With me, as always, is my co host, Joel.
Yo,
Today, breaking down this bracket with us for the month of August, we're here with Leo, kicking it with Leo. How are you, man? How's everything?
I am doing great as always, and I hope you guys are having a great, amazing day as well. Appreciate you for
Likewise,
having
likewise.
me.
And it's a pleasure to have you. A pleasure to have you. This is an amazing topic. We were talking about it just before we pressed record. This is the topic of the greatest NXT women's wrestler during the black and gold era of NXT. Anything from the 2.0 on the 2.0 era on, we're not talking about those. But what's the reason behind this topic? Because I know when I asked you, you immediately jumped towards NXT. What was the reason for choosing this one?
Well, I feel like I've been a wrestling fan as long as I have is for over 20 years, right? So I've sat through the good and the bad, and I will say there was a time where I almost stopped watching wrestling completely, but I think the black and gold era resparked my passion for wrestling, and just seeing the amazing talent that they had out there was simply amazing, and it felt like its own separate property outside of the main roster where a lot of fans were watching NXT pay-per-views rather than your main roster pay-per-views. So I think you had an amazing talent in there for both the men's tag team and women's division, respectively. So it was easily a decision that I had to make.
Yeah, it's perfect because then, as Joel said before, is like we were looking through this. And I'm like, I remember these days where this time of wrestling was just awesome. It was the best wrestling you could ever watch. Like you said, men's tag and women's wrestling. So to go back and watch some of these matches and some of these highlights, I was like, this is amazing. What a time that was. What a time
Right.
that was. So for those listening, before we get into the bracket, before those listening who are new to this channel, have not seen an episode before, we are going to go matchup by matchup, each giving our thoughts and opinions on which women's wrestler was better between the two in that matchup. Whichever wrestler gets 2 or 3 votes, obviously between the three of us, we'll move on to the next round, all the way till the finals. We will be giving our reasons why we choose each one. This is an opinion-based show. We could base each decision based off of who is the better in-ring talent, who had the better matches, better storylines, better accolades. We could base it however we want it to be. It's in our opinions. So, without being said, let's get right in to the bracket. Leo, because you're our guest, we're gonna start off with you with the first matchup. In your opinion, and why? Why do you? Which wrestler do you choose between Becky Lynch and Bailey to be the better wrestler, women's in NXT?
Okay. So, I mean, of course, these are two of your four horsemen, so you got to take that into consideration. But I think Becky isn't where she is in popularity at this point. I think she was starting to get her feet wet at that point. Bailey was having some banger matches with Sasha Banks. She even had an amazing match with Asuka and even Nia Jax. So I think out of these two, I have to go Bailey.
Okay, okay, interesting choice. Joel, do you agree with him, or are you gonna go with Becky Lynch?
yeah, 100%. Becky wasn't the Becky that we know now
Mm.
in NXT. Bailey was the one that I thought would be one of the most successful on the roster, which she has. She's had her moments, but I thought she would have been light years ahead.
Yeah.
But Becky really didn't have her moment till after the Black and Gold era, while she was already on SmackDown and in the main roster. So that's why I have to go with Bailey.
I agree with the both of you. I'm also choosing Bailey with my pick. Even though Becky was probably the only one between the four horsemen that didn't win the NXT Women's Champion. Later on, she did. Later on, she did, but not during
Yeah.
the time when she
Yeah.
was during the Black and Gold era. Um, but the four horsewomen were like the I guess you could say were like the staple of that women's division during that time. The
Hmm.
early days of the Black and Gold era. Bailey, again, like you both said, Bailey had tons of great matches, 2 5-star classics with Sasha. Her last match against Asuka. And a lot of wrestlers today have even said, if you see a lot of interviews with independent wrestlers, they've all got into the industry because of those matches. People used to dress up like Bailey. So I think the impact she had earlier on during those times says a lot. Again, Becky, she blossomed when she got into the main roster. Um, that's when she had her prime. But I think that for Bailey, her prime was the Black and Gold era of NXT. Um, and still after, not saying she never let go of that prime, but those are the heydays for her. The days that people were a fan of her the most. So shout out to Bailey. Becky again, she didn't have a terrible run. I feel like they could have done a lot more with her, if that
Hmm.
makes sense. I don't know if this is a hot take, but I feel like Bailey should have gone to the main roster over Becky
Yeah,
during those
Yeah,
Revolution
I
years.
agree. I
yeah.
agree.
It was just
Becky was
Bailey
like
was champion.
the side horsewoman for a minute.
For a minute, yeah. Because you
I
think she won the title, what, 2016, and she still didn't really feel special. Bailey came up there and she instantly beat Charlotte and broke her streak for a pay per view. So it's like, for a minute, you would think Bailey was more important than Becky. It didn't blossom until Becky became the main character, to be fair.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Yes, I guess they again Bailey was probably she was a champion, so I guess that's why they didn't bring her up right away during that time. But I feel like they could have gone with Becky being champion and Bailey getting called up. Oh wait, but Sasha was the champion when she got called up in that time too. So um,
They had to leave
maybe
somebody
yeah,
down there that they could trust. I don't know if they
Mhm.
trusted Becky like that at that moment.
No,
yeah,
they
I
didn't.
guess,
Yeah,
I guess so, I guess so. But it worked out at the end, right? I guess it all worked out at
yeah, it
some
worked
point.
out for
But it
everybody.
was
It
yeah,
did.
it was one of those moments where it's like, what if like it wasn't Bailey? If it wasn't Becky that got called up, what if it was Bailey and it was the roles were reversed? Like what would have happened? You know,
Yeah, things
um,
look way different.
way different. Emphasis on the way because that would have been a lot interesting to see. But again,
Agreed.
yeah, agree. And again, it's just didn't have bad careers. Just it was something interesting to see. Next matchup we do have Dakota Kai going up against Shayna Baszler. Joel, I'm going to start this one with you. Which one do you think had a better NXT run and why?
I I love Dakota Kai. I love the whole storyline with her and Knox. I love she did great in the first War Games, women's War Game match, but Shayna had a run that was so dominant that kind of I feel established the women's title as like a prize because when beating her it kind of finally made it seem like you got over that hurdle. So I feel like she kind of, even though of course there was champions before her and great champions, I think she kind of had this Samoa Joe effect in Ring of Honor. She had that on the Black and Gold era. Like once she became the champion, it was like, all right, who's gonna take her down? And finally, when somebody did take her down, they became like the top dog. So I gotta give it to Shayna. One of my
Not
favorites
that,
from the Black and Gold too.
yeah, dominant during that time. Leo, do you agree with him or are you going to go with Dakota Kai?
I think I'm gonna go Shayna as well. I do like Dakota as a face. Like she just gave me like that underdog fighting from underneath type vibes. And it's like when she turned heel, I was really one of those few people that was clamoring to see her win the NXT title. But time and time again, they did not. They failed to capitalize on it and failed to put the title on her. Um, I mean, granted, she was, I think, the first NXT Women's Tag Team Champions that they had. I think her and Raquel were.
Yeah,
But I do think overall Shayna was the better talent. I think she just gave you this final boss type vibes where it's like she was the ultimate villain. And besides that, like you had her as champion, but you also had Jessamine Duke on her team as well. So you kind of had like the UFC four horsewomen kind of outside of Ronda in NXT running rut shot. So I think you got to go Shayna. I think she just was an absolute killer. Unfortunately, when she got to the roster, that didn't follow her. But
Yeah,
NXT, she was a monster to be reckoned with.
yeah. I mean, I agree with both of you. Again, she was one of the most feared, not just dominant, most feared women. You know what I mean? Like no one wanted to face her. Um, and when you knew when she got a new challenger, it was like, oh, yeah, she's not winning. Good luck to her. Whoever faces her.
Yeah.
Dakota, that to me is like also another what if moment. She dealt with injuries. Unfortunately, they booked Raquel more than her at certain points.
Yeah.
When they got paired, great pairing, but she got over quickly. I feel like when she turned heel, she had potential, very much potential. I think she was a better heel booked than a babyface. Um, so I feel like there was a lot going for her, but they just didn't do much with her. especially following that heel turn at the War Games. That was great. But Shayna was on a different level. I feel like she's top two dominant women on that NXT Black and Gold era. Number one, we'll talk about in a bit, but she's top two. Um, it wasn't until Rhea that came through. I was like, yeah, we have some competition here. There's someone that we can actually give her to be like, all right, down the same level. And Rhea, all it took Rhea, to do was just show up, and she became like the next level star that she became. But she again, like you said, Leo, main roster. That's a whole different discussion because oh my god, that her being booked in the main roster was like that pissed me off.
Yeah.
That's how bad it was. That's how bad it
Yeah,
was.
that was a rough one. That was one that kind of was a no brainer. That was like, oh yeah, when she gets called up, like she'll be dominant. Like she'll just continue her reign, and she'll just do what she's doing here on the main roster. No,
No, and you would think she was going to win the Royal Rumble, and I was there for the Royal Rumble when Charlotte won in 2020, and a lot of the fans wanted Shayna to win, and then they kind of made up for it in a way, but then with her winning the Chamber, running through everyone, it's just the way they kind of booked it that kind of left the sour taste in my mouth because it's like you had Oscar in there, you had some notable talent that you could have built up even in a loss is and then the whole vampire thing, it just did not sit right with me. Her biting the neck of Becky, then Becky wanted to
Yeah,
put her over, but Vince, rebelled against it. I mean, she did not recover after that. She was forever like mid card at that point, and she was losing. And you had an opportunity to get her back on track, and then they didn't do it. So it's one of those big what ifs if like she would have been booked better on the main roster.
I forgot about that vampire stuff. That was like
I
a
was
core
just
memory.
gonna say the same
Yeah.
thing. I said, oh man, you once you said it, I unlocked the door, and I was like, yeah, I definitely pushed that away. Like,
That angered me a
definitely
lot
forgot
more.
about that
Yeah,
for a
yeah.
Yeah,
reason.
yeah. There's a reason I forgot about that. I was like, damn. But yeah, like it was just she should have. But the fact that I think Becky was pregnant during that time where she beat Shayna for the belt,
She
so
should
Yeah.
that
have
could
won
have
that
been an
Mania
even.
match.
Yeah, she could have won that Mania match, and maybe again a what if moment. What if she won that match? Would she have been as dominant as she was? Would she have been looked at a lot differently? Would her career would have gone a lot differently? Who knows? Who knows? That's a question that we gotta often think about. Like, what would have happened if she would have been booked as strong? I mean, it was booked strongly up until that point. It was like she lost
Right.
then, and it was like, all right, now it's starting to go downhill. Um,
Yeah,
kind of like the Oscar effect when she lost to Charlotte at 2018. It was like, oh, she was undefeated. Now it's like she lost that match, and it was not looked at the same as ever since. So it definitely takes a toll. One loss could take a toll on you and be like, damn, what if, man? What if? But that's nuts. She lost that. And the vampire stuff too. It's crazy. That's wild. But she eliminated everyone in the rumble. Everyone in the chamber.
Yeah.
I
And
thought after that moment, I thought it was like full steam ahead. I was like, oh yeah, like
yeah,
she's winning at Mania. Like
yeah,
this is an easy layup.
Hmm. But Vince said no. No, we're not doing that.
Yeah, that's not
yeah,
happening.
yeah. That's not happening. But yeah, Shayna Baszler does move on to the next round. Next matchup, I'll kick off. Kaylee Ray going up against Asuka. I feel like there's not really much to say. I mean, I think it has to be
Yeah,
Asuka
this was
because
just a bad one for Kaylee Ray. She just
yeah,
ended up with
Like,
yeah.
Oscar.
agreed.
Both of these two were dominant in their own ways. Kaylee Ray was obviously the longest reigning NXT UK Women's Champion, and you had Asuka, who was the most dominant NXT Women's Champion. Um,
Hmm.
so
Undefeated.
they were both dominant in their own ways, but Asuka was treated like a major star. She was undefeated for like 2.5 years. Like I said before, Shayna Baszler's top two most dominant women's wrestlers. Asuka's number one.
Yeah,
No one was able to touch her, be undefeated for 2 years to the point to where they had to relinquish the belt, to get it off of her so that way no one could pin her. And then obviously you had banger match after banger match, Nikki Cross, Ember Moon, Bailey, just to name a few. She was probably not. She was the most dominant women's wrestler during the best time to be a dominant wrestler. Their women's division during that
yeah.
time was stacked. So
Hmm.
Not only was she just beating everyone, she's beating some of their top talent. Um, so that was great to see. Again, when she got to the main roster, that was a whole different situation. That loss from Charlotte that year, she won the Rumble. I again, it went downhill. Should not have gone that way, but Oscar during Black and Gold was probably the best version of a perfect wrestler that we've ever seen. So I'm gonna go with Oscar. Leo, do you agree, or are you gonna go with uh, Kaylee Ray?
I mean, like you guys said, it's a no-brainer. I gotta go Oscar here. I think if you would have said Kayla Ray NXT UK run, it's a little bit different, but her in NXT didn't really do much for her. I think she was kind of in the mid card, winning the tag title. She didn't really touch the NXT title. Oscar having banger match. She had gave a bigger match to Bailey. The feud between her and Ember was really cool because where every single time we thought Ember was about to get it, something happened where Asuka will pull a wool over everyone's eyes and regain the title time and time again. She never lost the title. She gave Nia Jax her best match in NXT. Crazy enough, like
Yeah,
you would think Nia Jax would be like how she was in her first run, but the fact is you gave her her best match in NXT. That just speaks volumes of how good Asuka really is as a talent. But she's the most dominant NXT women's wrestler. Period. Like there's nobody that was coming close to her.
yeah, yeah. You know what's crazy too is like I know we were talking about the War Games match, that first one. The talent on that War Games, no one talks about. If you think about it, you had like if you look back at it, it was Rhea, Candice LeRae, obviously Tegan Knox, Dakota Kai, and then it was other team was Shayna, Kaylee Ray, Bianca, Io. Like that's
Stacked.
fucking stacked. Like, yeah, I would have loved to see Dakota and Tegan Knox in it just to see how like, crazy it would have gone. But like
Yeah,
that's an underrated one. Shout out to Kaylee. She was like all reliable, but in a good way. To the point it was like
agreed.
she you put her in a good feud and she would kill it.
Should deliver.
Um, yeah, she'll deliver. So shout out to Kaylee Ray. She was dominant in her own right to begin with. Um, they changed her up a little bit when 2.0 came around. I would have loved to see Kaylee Ray as Kaylee Ray on the main roster by herself. I think she would have thrived over there. I hope she kills it on the Indies because I know she unfortunately got released a few months ago. So it's great to see her back. Um, but yeah, uh, Joel, who you got?
Oh, it's a clean sweep. It's Oscar. Like I
Yeah,
I remember watching live take over Dallas when she beat Bailey and was like, "Oh yeah, put the rocket on her. Like she's going to be the face of this division." And she was for a while. Like you said, she never lost the belt, undefeated and great matches against everyone. Like again, you said Nia gave Nia best match. Says a lot. Like
Yeah.
she's given a lot of people their best matches in NXT, and I always compare her to uh like 97 Taz. That was the kind of run that she was on of just dominance. That was like who who's gonna be the one that's gonna finally knock her off, and it would always get close, but it would never happen. Shout out
no,
Oscar, man. It was a great time to be a fan because those matches were incredible. She's still killing it. She's still one of the best workhorses in the company.
For sure, for sure. Another clean sweep, three in a row. Um,
Black and gold don't
rightfully,
play,
yeah.
man.
Black and gold don't play. This is
If he was
nope.
and it's
wilding, he was wilding. Like
yeah, and the thing is
Yep.
like Dakota, Becky, and Kaylee Ray aren't bad talents either, though. You know what I mean? It's just how I put this bracket together. I didn't do it on purpose. I randomized it, so
it's
it
just how
unfortunately,
everything fell.
yeah, yeah. If there were different matchups, we can really say either one, and all these answers wouldn't be wrong. That's how good this stacked roster was.
Yeah.
Um, but anyways, next matchup we have Io Sky going 1-on-1 against Sasha Banks. Leo, who do you think was better or had a better run between these two, and why?
Okay, so this one's very tough because it depends on who you ask. If we're talking character, you would say Sasha Banks. Yes, she did have that banner match between her and Bailey, which is still, talked about amongst a lot of wrestling fans to this very day. That just shows how great of this match was. The fact that it brought a lot of people into women's wrestling, it helped push forward the women's revolution. But I feel if we're talking a little bit more longevity, I think it's Io in my personal opinion. I think Io had a longer run in NXT, She got the title. She was having a dominant reign. She was having banger matches with Candice LeRae. She gave Raquel one of her best matches in NXT. I think you got to talk about that. I mean, you were having banger matches with Io, even as a whether she was Io Shirai, the matches you had with none other than Shayna, and when she became Io Sky, it was game over, bro. It's Io for me. It's Io.
Okay. Okay. Good pick. Good pick. Joel, do you agree with him? We're gonna go with Sasha.
100% agree. Like it was close, but she was the centerpiece of NXT for a minute. Sasha did a lot for the women's division, did a lot for NXT Black and Gold, but didn't have the effect as Io. Again, Io was there a longer run, but she was a centerpiece of that company for a minute and the backbone of it. And she was the go-to person. If you needed a banger match, it was Io. Io was probably one of the best people on that roster at that time with the black and gold. Like you could put her up there with the men as well. Like shout out Io.
Okay. Okay. I'm actually gonna go with Sasha on this one. I
Okay.
agree with how both of you said. I agree with both of you said with Io. I do think that Io had the longevity to be given an extra point, but I feel like during Sasha's short run, she made a bigger impact with the company more than Io did. If you remember, Io wasn't always the same character that we've seen her. She had a whole different gimmick. She was uh she came from Japan, had the same gimmick she was in Japan, and then she had like a little bit of an edge to her, and it took a while to get that.
Mm-hmm.
Sasha made more of an impact during her years. Obviously, her and the Four Horsewomen revolutionized the women's wrestling in general. Um, and I think her character spoke a lot and played a lot in doing that. Her cocky character really made people hate her a lot, and it was just great work, great wrestling all around. Her NXT feud with Bailey was probably the best women's wrestling feud we've had in the past like 15 years. Um, Not saying Io can't put up to that. Io continuously to this day puts on great matches. Not saying she doesn't. I just feel like that one feud stands out a lot. That between Sasha and Bailey, and it's really played a big impact on wrestling today. And even when they're still going to this day, people look up to Sasha. People uh, say that she inspired them. Even till this day, people say that, and people get into her now and still say it. I love Io, I respect Io, but I feel like Sasha Banks had a bigger role with NXT during her time there than Io did. If they both had the same time frame of years spent in NXT, Sasha Banks would still clear Io's run. Um, so, I mean, even though Io is moving on to the next round anyways, but I still feel like Sasha deserves that 1 point next to her name. Um, so that feud will never be not talked about. Um, and that was one of my first memories of NXT Black and Gold was that feud between her and Bailey, the wrestling soulmates. Um,
Oh, definitely.
so yeah, I mean, shout out to Io too. She moved on to the next round regardless. Next matchup we do have Rhea Ripley versus the Irresistible Force, Nia Jax. Um, Joel, I want to start off with you with this one. Which one do you think was a better?
It's real. It's real. Like it's not even a question. No hate to Naya. I just feel like her NXT resume is not up there with the rest of the women's roster, and that's not her fault. That was that they called her up super early,
Mhm.
so she wasn't there long enough. She had a great feud with Bailey, and she showed that she was the powerhouse of the division. Um, but yeah, you got to give it to Rhea.
Yeah, I I'm gonna agree with you. I'm gonna also give it to Rhea. It's crazy to think that like she started NXT UK at like 19 years old. I don't even think she's 30 yet, which is even wild to think
No, I
about.
think she's like 27, 28, like
Yeah.
that right now. Yeah.
So like she's still young, and I remember when
Ridiculous.
she again I brought it up before with Shayna Baszler. Like the moment she crossed over from the UK to NXT, it was like you knew the second she came out like and went face to face with Rhea. That moment became made her a star, and she
Yeah.
didn't really do anything. She just stared into to Shayna, attacked her, became a star. Um, And, she had a great year if you think about it. She beat Shayna for the belt, won War Games, won Survivor Series, participated in the Rumble all within a year. Um, that was before she even got called up to the main roster. So the fact that she had a great resume, won two titles and won big titles in 1 year, that's nuts. That is nuts. And at that time, it wasn't even like you're getting like fatigued over her. It was like great, good. Like she should be getting this type of push based on how great she is. Um, Different conversation now. That's probably a different discussion for a different day. But like it was a different Rhea back then. It was a different version of her.
Hmm.
She led that women's division. She was the face of the division. She was the captain. So yeah, shout out to Nia. I agree with Joel. Should have gotten a longer run. Maybe we would have been talking a little bit differently if she did. Because I feel like she was just there during NXT to get match after match, feud after feud, not really building towards her. I feel like we were slightly getting there, and then she gets drafted to Raw, and I was like, oh, okay. During her peak of the NXT Black and Gold days, now it just got cut short because she got called up. Even when she
Yeah.
got called up, it was like, what are you doing with
Why?
her?
Yeah,
Yeah, like
why?
it seemed like they didn't have no idea what to do. She's just like there. Um, but they figured it out. They figured it out, along the way. But she should have been there at least an extra year in NXT.
Yeah.
Um, Leo, do you agree with Rio? Or are you gonna go with Nia Jax, and why?
It's Rhea. Like the fact that her impact when she came in, the fact that she told Shayna, you faced a lot of people, but you've never faced anyone like me. Like the fact that she's 27 years old and she has already a Hall of Fame caliber resume already, winning the Rumble, winning the Chamber, winning multiple world titles in her career at this point. I mean, it's a resume only a lot of women can dream of at this point in their careers. Um, Her crossing over from NXT UK to NXT, the matches that she had with the likes of Shayna, the likes of Raquel, and even like the fact that we were talking about her. You were talking about her accolades, winning the Rumble and everything like that, and just competing as the NXT champion in the Rumble. The fact that in her first year she pretty much competed at WrestleMania as your NXT Women's Champion against
Yeah,
Charlotte Flair, which is a huge vote of confidence in a way that, yeah, she's definitely going to be a huge star for the main roster. And then her second WrestleMania won a WWE Women's Championship. So it's like, yeah, it's Rhea Ripley all day, every day.
and to think about like, what was I gonna say? I had something in mind that I was gonna say, but it slipped my mind. Um, but no, I was gonna say NXT UK underrated roster. I feel
Yeah.
like we could
Yes.
do a whole separate bracket based off that division as well. Because you had Piper Niven, you had Kaylee Ray, you had Tony Storm. Um, it was just a great time to be an NXT Black and Gold fan during those times.
Hmm.
Pandemic changed a lot. Pandemic changed a lot of it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it did.
I saw an interview with Finn Balor that he did recently. It was like, oh, it was difficult to transition from before the pandemic till during the pandemic because it was like you had fans to please when there was an audience there. Then once it came to no fans, it was like who you just straight up wrestle. But it was fun for like TV viewers. But like you had to like adjust a little bit to change things, you know, because you can't please a crowd. There's no crowd there.
Hmm.
So you just got to wrestle a little differently. And I
Well,
feel like
that's
that
why they
was,
had the
yeah,
Thunderdome.
exactly. It just those fake fans, the fans that they hired from their own company. Um, but yeah, it was a fun era during this time. But Rhea Ripley was just she was on another level. That was insane.
Still is.
Yeah, still is, still is. Um, Next matchup we have Charlotte Flair going up against Tony Storm. Um, I'll get this one off. I think that Charlotte Flair should get the win here, in my opinion, get the one at least from me. Charlotte Flair had a great run. I know she people during that heyday, during those days, it was like, oh, you're Ric Flair's daughter. That's pretty much what she was going through the entire time. Um, Ric Flair was always there. Even had that feud with Natalia to be like, oh, who's the better second generation wrestler?
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
it was great. I feel like the Four Horsewomen should get credit to what they've done. Wrestling wise, I think I've enjoyed Tony Storm's matches better. but I'm determining this all based off like the impact that Charlotte Flair has had. I think she came into her own. Um, someone that really didn't have wrestling experience prior. She's probably top two of the best um women's wrestlers to come out of the PC that didn't have experience before then. So Bailey, Sasha, Becky, they were all wrestlers prior to joining the NXT, but Charlotte didn't have any experience, so she pretty much adapted to it quickly. And I think she
Hmm.
was even at that time she was people were saying, oh, she's definitely top three out of the four, and she had no experience prior to joining. So to be able to adapt that quickly is impressive. Um, so I'm gonna have to go with Charlotte Flair here. Uh, Leo, do you agree? You're gonna go with Tony Storm.
I'm gonna go Charlotte. I just feel like the Natalia feud really put over, and then you think of just what she was able to do impact wise. Even when she came back, the match that she had with Rhea at Mania, and then she kind of helped put over like Io Sky when they had that triple threat. I think it was NXT Takeover in Your House that really helped catapult Io
Yeah,
to that next level. So I think when you think of both runs, I think it kind of outshines Tony Storm's a bit because I mean, yeah, her match quality was a lot better, but I mean, she didn't really reach the NXT title, and that's kind of what I'm basing it off of here. I'm not
yeah,
really basing off NXT UK. I'm strictly thinking of NXT specifically, so I'm gonna have to say Charlotte on this one.
that's fair. I mean, I feel like she also got called up a little too early. I feel like
Yeah,
she could
Yeah.
have spent a lot of the year. Does she really need to develop more? No, but at least get more of like a character, more build. Maybe she
yeah,
wouldn't have had that fucking what that pie feud that she had with
yeah.
Charlotte.
That just did no favors for her at all. I'm just like, when you think of the character that she's has in AEW,
Yeah,
it's just like how do
yeah,
you fumble Tony Storm?
Yeah.
exactly. Like I feel like that in WWE would have been money for them. It feels like two different people. First
Yeah.
off, it doesn't even feel like the same person. If I look at photos side to side, it's like this is the same person. What? But shout out to her. She found herself. She's killing it. But um, again, if you're doing this today, if you're talking about Tony Storm versus Charlotte Flair today, different discussion. Um, but we're just basing off of the NXT run. Joel, are you going with Charlotte Flair or Tony Storm?
Yeah, Charlotte. I mean, you guys kind of said it all. Like, Charlotte was really, she helped NXT Black and Gold become a major attraction. Like, even when she came back and was helping the newer superstars get over, I think that was awesome of her. Tony Storm, I do agree, Nick, had better matches, but I do agree with Leo, and we can't really count NXT UK in this, which kind of brings Tony down way below Charlotte. But like Nick said, if we're not talking about black and gold, this is a way tougher conversation and fighting on both sides. But right now, this is a sweep. Charlotte.
Yeah. Shout out to Tony though. Shout out to Tony
Oh,
because
definitely.
she's a yeah. We could have a whole different episode talking about that, talking about current wrestlers. But yeah. Shout out to Tony though. Charlotte Flair does move on to the next round. Next matchup we have Raquel Rodriguez or Raquel Gonzalez in NXT. Going up against Bianca Belair. Leah, I'm gonna have you get this one off. Which one did you feel like had a better run and why?
On this one, I'm gonna say Raquel only because is kind of similar to like Becky, where she wasn't at her prime yet, right? Where she was still in the mix a little bit. I mean, she did have that one match with Shayna, but it kind of felt like she was still getting there. And when she got to the main roster, it was full on swing at that point. But Raquel, I mean, she won the NXT Women's Championship. She won the tag team titles. I mean, she was having banger matches with Io. She even had banger matches with Dakota Kai, Candice LeRae. Like, it was there for her. The matches she had with really Rhea Ripley, that was really what really pushed Raquel up the card, I think, in my humble opinion. But it's Raquel for me. It's Raquel.
Yeah, Joel, do you agree with him? Or are you gonna go with Bianca Belair?
I agree 100%. Bianca didn't really um gain a lot of momentum in the black and gold era until she was on her way out. When she was on her
Mm,
way out, that's when
yeah,
all her momentum was there. So there wasn't a lot that she did. She did have great matches. She was always a main event level talent. But Raquel had such a better resume, way more accolades, and was putting on great matches and is a NXT, former NXT champ. So you gotta go with Raquel.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with both of you. Hate to say it, but the thing is, Bianca, as we said in the past with others, someone that got called up. I don't want to say called up too soon because I guess getting called up was a benefit for her in a way because of how
Mm-hmm.
much she's grown and how much of a star she became.
Yeah,
Um, but the thing was, it was like she was also like you said, Joelle. Right before she got called up, she was in the middle of that Charlotte Rhea feud from Mania. She was doing the "you don't go here" stuff with them. And I was
yeah,
like,
Mm-hmm.
I think if she didn't get called up by Mania, which was a random by the way, um, I think she would have won the women's championship in NXT, and it probably would have had a run. That's also a what if that I think about. It's like, what if she didn't get called up then? I think she still would have been a star eventually, but I would have loved to have seen her go up against like Io Shirai again, um, Candice LeRae, Chelsea Green, and a whole different talent that was brought up since like Athena going back, Ember Moon going back. It would have been a much different version of Bianca, probably better
Mm-hmm.
version of Bianca if she would have stayed a little bit longer. Not saying I would have changed a lot because of how much of a star she's become. But Raquel Rodriguez too. Like I shout out Raquel because she was literally the background character for Dakota, and she became the star out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So like it was great that she kind of transitioned out of that role to being a dominant force. Her and Rhea, like you needed someone to kind of stop Rhea. Raquel was that person. Their match that they had, that Falls Count Anywhere match, was one of my favorite matches of Rhea's and Raquel's. Um, I think they both put on a show. I think Raquel had a great dominant run. I think they could have kept her as a heel on the main roster because I would have loved that dominant version of her on the main roster, kind of like what we're seeing now of her.
Mm-hmm.
I think if we would have seen that version back then when she got called up, I think she would have been multiple time women's champion.
Yeah.
So I don't know what. It's also there's going to be a lot of what ifs in wrestling, but um,
yeah,
I think you know she's she kind of feels like a bodyguard still. I just kind of wish she can get away from that, just be herself as a heel by herself. Um, but Raquel, she was a force to be reckoned with. I would say I think in my top five most dominant women's wrestlers were Asuka. Um, in order: Asuka, Shayna, Rhea, Raquel. The fifth one is to be determined. You could really put anyone there, but
Mm-hmm.
she was up there and she was killing it, and she deserved to get called up. Unfortunately, it had to be due to Dakota's expense. Um, but she found a way to get over that quickly. So shout out Raquel. Shout out Raquel. Um, Next matchup, the last matchup in the first round, we got Candice LeRae going up against Kyrie Sane. Joel,
mm.
I'm going to start with you with this one. Which one do you think had a better run, and why?
Uh, I mean, this one's kind of tough because you can give it to Lorraine because of the longevity and like the reinvention of herself and all that other stuff. Like, if you really down to go that way, but Kyrie Sane had a crazy ass NXT run. I mean, from winning the classic to then becoming champ, having great matches with like Oscar, Shayna, like she had a great run. Lorraine, of course, she is a workhorse. She's a great talent. Like I said, doing the way stuff was awesome. That was kind of like transition into the new era.
Yeah.
I gotta go Kyrie with this one.
Okay. Okay, Leo, do you agree with him, or are you going to go with Candice LeRae?
I'm gonna go Kyrie Sane on this one. I just feel like I also have to base off like Kyrie won the championship, Candice LeRae didn't. Like,
Yeah,
and there were times where I thought she would, but it never came to fruition, one way, shape, or another. I mean, her only claim to fame in NXT was like the way stuff, and then the fact that she won the tag team titles with her and Indy Hartwell in the black and gold era. But outside of that, it really wasn't much to really write home about. Granted, she had banger matches, of course, but I got to give it to Kyrie Sane. I just like Joel said, just like the transition from the Mae Young Classic to winning the title from Shayna Baszler of all people, and then going on a run at that point. So I got to give it to Kyrie.
I want to agree with both of you. I'm gonna give it to Kyrie. I feel like Candace should have been treated a lot better. I feel like
She
she
had.
should have, yeah, she should have gotten a championship run. Um, whether it was a month, 2 months, she should have gotten that belt at some point. The only reason why they're both a great, fantastic wrestlers. In ring wise, it's up in the air for me because both these are phenomenal wrestlers. But I think what gives me the edge with Kyrie is the fact that like she had a character for most of her run. I like
Hmm.
the pirate gimmick that she portrayed. It was entertaining. The way was also entertaining, but it kind of happened late into the run NXT Black and Gold. I feel like that was kind of helping Austin Theory and Indy Hartwell more than them, than Gargano and Candice.
Yeah.
Um, Kyrie kind of, the Mae Young Classic helped her become a star from the moment she won it. Um, and I think they didn't really take their foot at the pedal. They kept the gas going and they kept rolling with her. They kept giving her big moments, great matches, which earned her a right to get called up. But Candice LeRae, it's the longevity, the fact that she was there for that long and didn't really accomplish as much as we thought she would. Um, and I just feel like she deserves a lot better than that. Even now, I feel like what she's doing now, she deserves a lot more than how she's being handled. But um, yeah, that's also another discussion for a different day. Because let me tell you, I can go an hour plus talking about that. Um, but yeah, shout out Candice LeRae. Shout out Candice LeRae. Now this is the part where it gets tougher. This is the part where it gets tougher because we're on the second round. Better matchups. With the first matchup in the second round, we have Bailey going up against Shayna Baszler.
Oof.
Um, I want to kick it off with you, Joel. Which one do you feel like was a better wrestler between these two, and why? Or had a better run in NXT, and why?
I'm gonna go with Shayna because I'm a fan more of dominant runs. I'm a big fan of like who's gonna take down this monster. So
Over five
because
star
of
matches.
that, what's up?
Over 5 star matches. No,
Listen,
great. Yeah.
she has great matches. Are you trying to say Shayna can't
No, no,
wrestle?
no,
Or are
no,
you
no,
trying to
no. I'm
say
saying
that
no.
her matches are
No.
snooze
I'm just
fest?
asking because like, are you a fan of dominant runs over 5 star matches? I'm not saying
Listen,
I
I'm
can
a fan.
just yeah.
I could be a fan of both, and that's why Shayna has a point next to her. Bailey, listen,
Yeah.
had great run, great matches,
Yeah.
great feuds, but Shayna was just on another level, and it was believable. You know what I mean? Like it was one of those that was like she took over and she's taking over. No one's taking it
Hmm.
off of her. Bailey was more of like as a champion, but this is more just based off championships of more just like can she hold on to it? But again, she has so much help establishing that division and establishing NXT. But just off the fact of Shayna, the way that they presented her and everything, I have to go with Shayna.
Okay. Okay, Leo, do you agree with him or are you going to go with Bailey?
I'm also gonna go Shayna. Like I'm not gonna disrespect Bailey here because I really do respect her impact and what she brought to NXT. I think she was one of the most lovable baby faces, most that we've seen in NXT history. I'm not gonna take that away, but Shayna, she changed the game as far as like when we lost Asuka to going into main roster, there was a void for a while where it's like who's gonna be that next dominant force to be really reckoned with, and then here comes Shayna, and the rest is history. Shayna was the final boss of the NXT Women's Division, so I have to go Shayna here.
Okay. Okay. I agree with you both on Shayna. I'm not disagreeing with anything, but I'm going to give my point to Bailey because I feel like the fact that she had a great character, great wrestling, got over with the crowd as a big baby face from banger matches. I think she crossed off like a lot of the boxes of what you would want in a WWE superstar. Not saying that Shayna didn't. Obviously, she had everything. She was a dominant wrestler, and she can go. Um, but I just feel like NXT wouldn't have been what it was if it didn't start off with Bailey. That feud with Sasha really put NXT on the map for what it was. If it weren't for that, what it's I don't know what it would have been. Obviously, they've signed great wrestlers ever since Because if you remember during the Bailey and Sasha time, they did sign great wrestlers, but they weren't trying to aim for 5-star matches. But then just those two matches happened to be the best ones. I think ever since then it
Hmm.
became they signed indie wrestler after indie wrestler after indie wrestler. Back then it was just recreating our own guys, and they got over just being themselves and being a WWE product. Um, so Shayna Baszler, I love her. I'm glad she's making it to the next round. That was my pick anyways, but I can't just Bailey did as much as she could. Bailey and Sasha really did as much as they could to really help the NXT Women's Division become what it was. They were the staples. The Four Horsewomen was so. I can't leave Bailey out here hanging in the zero next to her name. So
Can't have
I,
that zero. I feel you.
yeah, yeah. Shout out to Bailey though. Shout out to Bailey. Uh she was awesome. She was awesome. Yeah. So next matchup we have Asuka versus Io Sky, Io Shirai.
Oof.
Uh, we can call her whatever we want because she had two names. Um, I will get this one off. I'm gonna go with Asuka. You can't top that run. Um, she also had a lot of the boxes crossed. Um, she had an entertaining character and really progressed as a babyface on the main roster. She really showed more of a character on the main roster, but I think NXT again, the undefeated streak, you can't defeat that. Nothing has come. Shayna was close. Shayna was the closest thing, and Rhea were the closest ones you've had since Asuka, but it wasn't better than Asuka's. Asuka's run again. They had to. I would say they had her fake an injury to get the title off her because who they didn't want anyone to pin her. They didn't want anyone to pin her. Like imagine being like,
No.
yeah, she lost randomly to somebody in NXT, but they didn't want that to count. They wanted to keep it going. She was. I think her NXT run was a Hall of Fame worthy run to begin with. I think it's Hall of Fame worthy. You can look at her NXT run and be like, yeah, put her in the Hall of Fame tomorrow. There's no question. Um, so I feel like her run was just top tier perfect. I don't think I don't think anything has come close besides Shayna Baszler. That was what 7 years ago. 7 years
Yeah,
ago,
because she came
Holy
in like
shit,
2016. She came in
7 years.
2016.
2016. Oh, 10 years ago. 10
Yeah,
years.
10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Shayna Baszler was 7 years ago. So nothing. That was the
Yeah.
closest thing we've seen from her 7 years ago. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but Asuka is just I don't really need to say much besides how dominant she was. Her resume spoke for itself. Joel, do you agree with Asuka, or are you gonna go with Io Shirai
A
Sky?
1000%. I love Io so much. She's great in the ring. She's one of my favorites today. But Asuka's black and gold is on another level. The undefeated streak, the amount of hype she had coming in,
Yeah,
and actually living up to the hype. Like it wasn't like just BS matches and oh she has an undefeated streak. No, she was having great matches. Like you said, they didn't want to get pinned, and that was the way to go. Like after that, after she went to the main roster, then it gets questionable. But her black and gold, that that is it's tough to beat. It's I mean she is undefeated. It's tough to beat. You
yeah,
gotta go
it
with
was.
Oscar.
It was. Leo, is this a clean sweep, or are you going with Io?
It's a clean sweep. I'm going Asuka once again.
Yeah.
I love EO. Asuka set the stage for like dominant women in NXT. I feel like Asuka walked so Shayna could run when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to being like a dominant force in the NXT women's division. Her impact is still felt because I just feel like no one's come close in a way, especially outside of Shayna, I would say, when it comes to being like that dominant force to be reckoned with. And the fact that every single time you thought she was about to lose that title, prime example, Ember Moon during their illustrious feud, I was literally on the edge of my seat because I'm like, are they really about to give Ember the title? And
Yep.
they didn't. I remember they came to, I believe it was in Texas, I believe a while back, and it was like, I believe in Athena's home backyard, or whatever. People were really thinking she was about to win it, and she didn't. And it just really was like there were times where Asuka was kind of operating as a heel, where it's like she was cutting corners here and there if she needed to
Yeah.
keep that belt, and she did. So I gotta go Oscar here. I gotta go Oscar.
Remember that time when Oscar faced Mickey James on NXT?
Oh, that was really good. That was a good
Yeah.
match. That was really
That
good. I think that was Takeover
Canada,
Dallas,
Canada,
Takeover Canada, or
Toronto.
something like that. It
Cause
was
yeah,
Toronto, I
Yeah.
believe.
Toronto, yeah. Cause it was. I think it was supposed to be Trish, but then she got pregnant, and then they had to switch to
Mm-hmm.
Mickey.
Yeah, it was
So
just
it
a
was like,
random
Oh,
pop up, and I was like, okay, cool. Yeah,
yeah,
I'll
Trish would
take
have been
this.
cool too.
Yeah.
yeah, that would have been a fire matchup. But then she had a baby, so I was like, all right, we gotta come Plan B with Mickey. But that
Plan
match was
B.
fire too. That brought
You
Mickey
could have
back
done
into the fold.
Natalia if you wanted to, and I would have been fine with it.
Yeah, yeah,
To be
true. Yeah,
honest.
2017 Natalia. Yeah,
Yeah.
give me that. I would have
Yeah.
loved that match. Yeah, that was fire. Next matchup on the second round, we have Rhea Ripley going against Charlotte Flair. Leo, we're gonna start with you with this one. Which one do you think had a better NXT Black and Gold run, and why?
Oh man, rematch from WrestleMania 39 all over again. Oh, brother. I love both women and what they bring to the table. I feel like Charlotte has that impact, but Rhea has that dominant mystique that really elevated her to like the next level as a wrestler. I can pick either one and I feel like I won't be wrong here. Because you can make a case for both women, but I'm gonna go Rhea. I'm gonna go Rhea. I'm gonna go Rhea.
Okay. Okay, not a bad choice. Not a bad choice. Joel, you gonna go? Are you gonna agree with him? Or are you gonna go
I
with
I
Charlotte?
agree. It's Rhea. It's Rhea. It was too dominant. It was a crazy pace that she was going from the jump over successfully from NXT UK seamlessly
Yeah,
into black and gold. Like she just fit in. It was a perfect like puzzle piece. She was a perfect puzzle piece. Charlotte again established that division. Rhea took it to the next level.
true. That is true. I mean, Rhea already won this matchup anyways, but I'm gonna give my vote to Charlotte because I think I'm when you said Leo Oscar walked so Shayna could run, I could say the same thing with the Four Horsemen. They walked so anyone else could run afterwards. They laid out the foundation of the NXT Women's Division. Again, if those four didn't run through NXT like they did, what would NXT have come? You know, how would we
Hmm.
view NXT ever since?
Yeah.
Um, so the importance of them being there, putting banger matches against one another, and other people, and starting that women's revolution again, like you said, Leo as well. There's no wrong answer here, and I love that. It's just the importance of them and the face. I I think that nickname pretty much was founded by the fans, right? The Four Horsewomen, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, because yeah, I don't think they would call themselves that. That would be too selfish to even say that. But anyways, it's just the foundation and then the impact they all four of them had to NXT. I love Rhea. I would have chosen her over Charlotte any day of the week, because of how dominant she was. But we probably wouldn't have seen Rhea if Charlotte and the Four Horsewomen didn't do their thing. Again, I think Rhea debuted in the Mae Young Classic,
Yeah.
so it was like, would the Mae Young Classic have become a thing if the Four Horsewomen, didn't do their thing? But we have seen a lot of those talent on the roster if that didn't happen either. So do we have them for the think? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. That's a whole different discussion to leave the fans talking about. Um, but yeah, shout out Rhea though. Shout out Rhea. She did her thing.
Yeah.
She did her thing. Um, Last matchup in the second round, we got Raquel Rodriguez or Raquel Gonzalez going up against Kyrie Sane. Joel, I'm gonna start with you with this one. Which one did you find better NXT run and why?
This is a tough one. I would probably damn. I might have to give the edge to Kyrie Sane. Just because of also winning the Mae Young Classic. I'll give her that edge. But Raquel was she was the powerhouse. Like, nah, I'll keep it with Kyrie. I'm gonna keep it with Kyrie.
Are you short? Are you
Yeah.
sure you could change? You could change.
Oh no, no, it's Kyrie. Don't worry, it's down in blood.
Leo, do you agree, or are you also going with? Are you going with Raquel Rodriguez Gonzalez?
I love Kyrie. I really do. I mean, you talk about the Mae Young Classic and what it did for her career. It really catapulted her in the eyes of fans to be the star that we all know she could have been. But I'm giving it to Raquel on this one. I just feel like if you think about the evolution of her in NXT, going through the Mae Young Classic, because she was in that too. She became a
Yeah.
background character to Dakota Kai. She broke out of the mold. She became one of the biggest stars in NXT. She was having banger matches with the likes of Rhea Ripley. She won the NXT title, but from Io Sky, the feud that she had with Dakota Kai, her having that match that she had transitioning into 2.0 with Mandy Rose, which is a really great match as well. So I have to give it to Raquel here. I think just from the overall package from start to finish and how where she started into what she became, I got to give it to Raquel here.
Okay. Okay. This is the first time we got into the hot seat all
Oh
bracket.
yeah, to be honest, all
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It took
Okay.
till the second to last round, but
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
got here.
True. We got here. Okay. So, whew. Because this is also one where it's like, also there isn't a wrong answer.
Yeah.
Right.
Um, I'm gonna go with Kyrie Sane here. I love
Ooh.
Raquel. I love
Yeah.
Raquel. I love that, like you said, Leo. She broke out of the mold of being the bodyguard, the background character. She made her own name, kind of shifting away from Dakota Kai. But I think that Kyrie really did herself a favor by just going all out in the ring. She added a character from the beginning. She was a fan favorite from the start of the Mae Young Classic, and they didn't really let the foot off the gas with her. You know, again, main roster call up, different story. We're only talking strictly NXT, Black and Gold. But I think that she had better. I can probably count. I'm not saying that Raquel didn't have bad. I didn't say. I'm not saying Raquel had bad matches. I can count more Kyrie Sane matches better in NXT than Raquel has. I think her feud with Shayna really put her over. There were times where I thought she would win. At times she did. But they had a great feud. Kind of, I think they went back and forth with giving the title to Shayna and Kyrie. Um,
Hmm.
that was my favorite story during that time. The act before Rhea, the only challenge I thought was gonna like that did take down um Shayna Baszler. So I love Raquel. She was dominant the way she was, and I love the fact that like she kind of shifted it. But the fact that they made her a bodyguard of Dakota Kai also tells me at the same time they weren't looking at her as a star. She was just used to put over Dakota. You know, that's what they saw in her at first. That's what it
Hmm.
tells me, is that she was meant to be a background character and not the main star. But again, she shifted. She grew out that mold, and I'm glad she did that. But Kyrie Sane, if you're talking strictly wrestling from bell to bell, Kyrie Sane any day of the week. Um, so that's what I'm basing mine off of. Shout out Raquel though. She did her thing, and
Facts.
Yeah.
yeah, she did her thing.
Oh, we in the
Um,
final four.
Final four.
Time out. Before we got into this, the final four. Can we say this is the Mount Rushmore of the NXT Black and Gold women?
Yeah, I would say.
Yeah, I would say 3 out of the 4. I feel like you could make a case for Kyrie. I mean, she's
I
kind
feel
of
Yeah,
like
like
she's
in
the
that
one
yeah.
that could be
fifth.
swapped out a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think again, like Leo said, Shayna, Asuka, Rhea, definitely top three. You can really make the case and argument for the fourth.
Yeah.
That's really
Yeah.
like I think the fourth one, anyone can put any women's wrestler and they wouldn't be wrong. You
Yeah,
could
you
put
could
Right.
swap out Charlotte, Sasha, but you could put
yeah,
anybody in that conversation and it's not wrong.
yeah, it's not wrong. But I feel
Fact.
like stapled in Shayna, Asuka, Rhea.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
gotta be there. They have
Yeah.
to be there.
Yeah, glad you pointed that out because I didn't think about that till now. I was like, wait, that is true. Those are the staple of the
Yeah.
NXT. I think the four horsemen were the first four Mount Rushmore. I think it
Yeah.
transitioned over time. You
Hmm.
know, they laid out the foundation, and then it led to Shayna, Asuka, Rhea. Like accomplishment wise, it was four.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I guess you could say that. Guess you could say that. First semifinal match we have Shayna Baszler versus Asuka. Should be the finals, but
Should
bracket
be.
over
Yeah,
bracket.
should be.
Um, Joel, I'm gonna start with you. Which one do you feel like was better and why?
Um, I'm gonna use what Leo said with Oscar walks so Shayna can run. Is Oscar?
Hmm. Okay. Okay. Good
I
one.
feel like I've made my case for Oscar
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Yeah,
Shayna, so I
yeah,
feel
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
I don't
yeah.
really gotta go through everything, but I'm going with Oscar.
Leo, do you agree and why?
I have to go Asuka here. It's just like the dominance. They both were dominant in their own right, but Asuka was there
Mm.
first. Like I
Yeah.
said, Asuka walked so Shayna could run. I mean, you don't get Shayna without an Asuka first, so I gotta go Asuka and the impact that she had
Yeah.
on NXT, holding that title for 600 plus days.
Yeah.
Honestly, might be a hot take. If Asuka would have stayed in NXT, she probably would have had a longer reign than Roman Reigns ever did. So
Probably.
Yeah.
Did
yeah,
Shane and
like
Oscar ever cross paths in NXT or no?
no,
Like
because
years ago.
Asuka got called up
Right
in
before.
20 like around 2017, like around Survivor Series time, and Shayna came in like I think the beginning of 2018.
So barely. Barely
Yeah,
anything.
so she missed
Yeah.
her about maybe a good 2 3 months.
Yeah. That would have been an NXT match I would have loved to have seen. Would love to have seen.
Yeah. But
I would pay money to go back in time just to watch this.
And
If
then
there
we
were a time
we
machine.
got it. We got it, but it was on the main roster in that
Yeah,
it
chamber
was
match. But that was like their first interaction. So
and that was like a few years after the Oscar's
yeah.
loss.
it
So it
was
was like,
like two
Mm-hmm.
powerhouses meeting up in the
yeah,
middle of the ring. It
it
was
was
just the main roster versions of them, which isn't bad, but it wasn't the same.
yeah, yeah. An NXT version would have been a lot better
Yeah.
than what we would have seen. I mean, Oscar's already making it to the finals. I would have chosen her anyways, but Shayna Baszler, I'm gonna give my point to her because I don't want to leave her hanging with the zero. She had
Yeah,
a
let's not let her get swept.
yeah, she had a
Yeah.
great run. I know we said Oscar walked so Shayna could run, but Shayna did her thing too. Shayna walked so Rhea could run. I guess he said the same shit there. It was just amazing how dominant she become. She may have been a little bit more beatable than Oscar's, but it was like she held her own. You know, like for me at that time, someone who didn't really know who she was prior, it was like, oh shit, this MMA girl is just gonna walk right in and just cause havoc. But I was like, damn, we just saw Oscar do it, and we're not seeing someone else do it, and I'm not mad at it either. Like
Mm-hmm.
it was like one of those moments where it's like, okay, they're clearly copying and pasting, but it's not a bad thing. It's like she did her thing. She ran to that roster, and it made Rhea into a star at the same time. Like to where like they needed somebody from the other NXT show to come through, be like, yeah, we need you to stop this girl. She's taking out everyone. And we're not trying to
Mm-hmm.
have another Oscar. I know she wasn't undefeated, but it was like it was still one of those moments of like we need someone to stop her right now. And the fear that the entire women's roster had. Oscar, I'm not saying she wasn't feared. It was just no one could beat her. No one was scared of Oscar. No one was ready for Oscar. But that was because she kept on winning. You know what I mean? I feel like everyone could hang with Oscar, but no one could hang with Shayna.
No.
So um, I'm gonna give it to Shayna. Shout out to Oscar too. She deserved to be in the finals because she was there. She did her thing. Um, Second to last matchup, we have Rhea Ripley going up against Kyrie Sane. Um, I'm gonna start this one off. I'm gonna go with Rhea Ripley. I think her time was just. It was a dominant. Sure, it was dominant. She did her thing, but she had accolades all within a short time. She got brought over beginning of 2019 by late 20. She was there for 2 years, but it flew by. Those 2 years flew by. She did her thing. She, like I said before in the first round, she won the NXT UK Women's Championship, the first one ever, early 2019. A few months later, she went face to face with Shayna, won that title. She then entered War Games, won it with just two people. She went to Survivor Series that same year, won the match for her team. Entered the Royal Rumble that following year, not main evented, but entered as champion at WrestleMania. That I can go on, and within those 2 year span that she was in NXT, and that's crazy. That's crazy. It wasn't again. It wasn't like they're clearly pushing her and favoring her a lot back then. It was just wow, this is awesome. This girl's getting the treatment, and everyone was loving it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Kyrie was an amazing wrestler, but it was just I think her NXT run flew by pretty quickly.
Yeah.
I feel like I remember her matches, but it was like, how long was she there? I feel like she was just called up within a blink of an eye. I think she was just called up to be paired with Asuka. That's when the the Kabuki Warriors just started.
Like
Um,
2019,
19, yeah. So like,
2018-ish, 2018-ish.
Yeah.
yeah. So she did her thing, but it's like I wish she was there a little bit longer to just see what she could have hang with like Rhea. She have faced Ember Moon again. You know, Io Sky again, during their primes of NXT. So it was like really those times that I wish I could see again. But shout out Kyrie, but Rhea gets my vote. Joel, I want to start with you with this one. Do you choose Rhea Ripley, Kyrie Sane?
Yeah, it's Rhea. Has to be Rhea. She she became the face of NXT. Like she just became the face of NXT for a while.
Yeah,
When when the men were kind of just throwing the belt around and they were kind of seeing what was going on with like Cross, Keith Lee. They were trying to see what was gonna work. They were trying to figure out who was gonna take that new stance. She became the face of NXT. She became must watch TV, and she was a lot of the reason why a lot of people stuck out with NXT. And then when she got called up, we kind of see what happened to NXT, and it didn't really help it. I think it all kind of tied to her. Not saying that it went down because of her, but she was a staple point. She was the face of that place. So I gotta go with Rhea. Kyrie had a great run, like Nick said, kind of not that long. Great matches, incredible matches.
yeah,
Like I'm such a Kyrie fan, but going against Rhea, you don't really got much of a fight.
yeah. That is true. That is true. Leo, are you agreeing with Rhea? Or are you gonna go with Kyrie Sane?
I'm also gonna go Rhea. I just feel like her impact when she came in from NXT UK, she made a huge splash almost instantly. The War Game stuff, pinning the champion to set up for that opportunity. She won the championship. She went into Mania, facing one of the biggest stars, in your women's division in Charlotte, and that's a huge vote of confidence from the company. And then a year after that, she became Raw Women's Champion, defeating Asuka. So like yeah, like come on, it's got to be Rhea. She instantly became the face of NXT almost instantly.
Yeah, she did her thing. I mean, so
Yeah,
did Kyrie, but you know, it's it was unfortunately against Rhea. Like if it was against anyone else, there's a tough competition there. Finals. We got to the finals. It is Asuka going up against Rhea Ripley. Who wants to get this one off? Who wants to
I'll,
open?
I'll do it.
Leo,
I
Asuka, or Rhea Ripley, and why?
I love me some Rhea Ripley. You guys know I do. But it's Asuka. Asuka was the standard bearer of NXT. She was the measuring stick of NXT. Like when you were think about NXT, yes, we've had so many amazing talent, but nobody had that impact like Asuka. Granted, we had the Four Horsemen and everything like that, but when they got called up, it was make way for Asuka, and Asuka was literally the final boss before we got other wrestlers in the company, like where she held that championship. Yes, people can hang with her, but nobody could beat her. No matter how good they were, Asuka was just that better. She was operating on a different level than everyone else at that time, and it just showed time and time again. No matter how many people thought she was gonna lose that title, whether if it was against Ember Moon, Nikki Cross, Peyton Royce, Liv Morgan, nobody was going to beat Asuka, and she was so dominant. They had to relinquish the title from her to send her off to the main roster. So it's Asuka for me all day every day.
Ooh, okay, okay. Joel, do you agree, or are you gonna go with Rhea Ripley?
100% agree. 100% agree. And it Oscar was a big reason that showed that they could build a dominant woman and she doesn't have to be a tall woman, a big woman. You know what I mean? We've always saw
Yeah,
the powerhouses, but they always looked either tall or on a bigger scale. This showed that they can actually do it with a wrestler like Oscar and be successful. And that's when the experiments started becoming, and then that's when we start getting more powerhouses and more dominant women wrestlers in the WWE and NXT. So we all have to thank Oscar for that. Without Oscar, none of that happens. It's Oscar.
question for you. I'm gonna turn this question to you guys. Does Asuka deserve a sweep from her NXT run, or do you think it'll be fair if Rhea gets a vote here?
I mean, look, I mean, I would say for me, you can make the case for Rhea, but I just feel like Impact, and then like you said, you had the whole moniker for a lot of the wrestlers coming in, both male and female. You had to be this larger than life type of talent, like had the best build or whatever the case may be. Asuka kind of went against that because I think she was like what 5'4" at that time, I
Mm-hmm.
believe. So she was kind of more on the shorter side, and the fact that she was flourishing as a 5'4" wrestler that came off as a legit threat to anybody. What if they were taller than her, the same size? Whatever the weight class or whatever, she beat a person that's twice her size in Nia Jax. Like,
Yeah.
so in my personal opinion, you can make the case for Rhea, but for me, I'm just gonna say it's more like a sweep to me.
Yeah, same here.
Okay.
And it's
I mean, that's
not
a
disrespectful at all to Rhea.
No.
She's here in the finals, but
yeah.
you went up against Oscar.
Then
You know,
Yeah.
it's
yeah,
different.
yeah. Then I guess I'm gonna give Rhea the point. No, I'm joking. Yeah, definitely a clean sweep. I'll give to Asuka. I mean, Rhea had a great run. Besides the undefeated stuff, besides the dominance, Asuka is by far during that time, even still when she retired, one of the greatest women's wrestlers ever. Just pure in ring wise, even if she wasn't undefeated or as dominant as she was. So is Rhea. It's crazy to think of how young Rhea still is. Um,
Yeah.
it's insane to think that she only started when she was 19 and got that push when she was 20. So it was great. I mean, it's the experience of Asuka and how crazy of a run she had. It was like shit. You don't want to mess with Asuka. You don't
Yeah.
want to get into her way. Of course, everyone wanted to beat her. Everyone wanted to face her to defeat that streak. But as Asuka said herself, no one was ready. They thought they were ready, but they weren't. It
Nope.
wasn't. They weren't scared of her. They were just trying to end the streak, but no one was ready for it. Asuka always won up, always outsmarted her opponents, got to what she did. Unfortunately, she was undefeated. Fortunately, she was undefeated for her, but for everyone else, unfortunately, no one could beat her. So she pretty much left NXT undefeated. She's never lost an NXT match, so maybe 2.0. I think she had a few matches in 2.0, but that's not black and gold.
No.
But she
Don't
did her
don't talk
thing.
about that. Don't
Yeah,
talk about that.
yeah,
Let's
yeah,
not
yeah.
talk
We're
about
not
that.
gonna talk about that one, brother.
Yeah, different era of NXT. But shout out to Asuka and shout out to Rhea. They both did their things too. Um, it's Asuka just was unstoppable. Greatest between the three of us, Asuka was the greatest NXT women's wrestler during the Black and Gold era. Shout out to you, kicking it with Leo. Leo, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you
Where
so much,
can
man.
plug in your stuff? Where can people find you on social medias and your platforms?
Yeah, you guys can follow me on Kicking with Leo on Instagram. You can follow me on TikTok and YouTube and Twitch as well. We're pretty much been posting consistently every single day this week. I mean, we just came off of streaming 3 days straight for SummerSlam weekend and Monday Night Raw last night. So that was a really big weekend for us over on my channel. And yeah, and looking forward to doing more. Money in the Bank season's officially upon us, so I got that going on, and then Survivor Series. I plan to be going to Survivor Series, so
Nice.
that's a vlog potentially about be in the works of happening there. So it's a lot of wrestling to be covering, but it's I'm all for it. I'm all for it.
Exactly. It's the love of the game, man.
That's
It's the love of
awesome.
the
Yeah,
game.
yeah.
So thank you again for coming on. Really much appreciate it. We'll definitely leave all of your platform socials in the description of the YouTube video so people can follow you and subscribe to your channels. Thank you again, Leo. We appreciate this. Again, another episode of the Fanatic Brackets. I am Nick, Joel, and with Leo, and we'll see you guys next episode.
Catch you.